In the months following Revelation Day, humanity experienced what historians would later call the Great Awakening. Our cities buzzed with newfound energy as hidden technologies were gradually revealed to the public. The truth about our technological advancement sparked both amazement and pride. We had achieved far more than anyone had been led to believe. The United Earth Council decided to maintain many of our defensive systems, but chose to share other technologies that could improve daily life. Clean energy solutions that had been kept secret to maintain our cover of primitive development were finally implemented worldwide. Cities transformed as gravity-assisted transportation systems replaced traditional infrastructure, and quantum communication networks made old internet technology obsolete. Admiral Chen found herself spending more time in classrooms than command centers, sharing her experiences with young students eager to learn about humanity's true place in the galaxy. The stars aren't just beautiful lights anymore, she would tell them. They're doorways to our future, but we'll explore them on our terms, not anyone else's. Dr. Torres led the effort to compile and publish the real history of human technological development. Her team discovered that many of our greatest scientists had known about the alien observers, but had chosen to keep their true breakthroughs hidden. They weren't just inventors, she explained during a global broadcast. They were guardians, protecting humanity's independence by making sure our real capabilities remained secret until we needed them. The Imperial and Resistance fleets kept their word, maintaining a respectful distance from our solar system. Occasionally, our long-range sensors would detect their ships passing by, but they never approached closer than the Kuiper Belt. Their presence served as a reminder, not of threat, but of humanity's achievement in earning their respect. Perhaps the most profound change came in how we viewed ourselves. The knowledge that we had not only survived but outsmarted two advanced civilizations gave humanity a new sense of purpose. Global conflicts decreased as nations realized we had more to gain by working together than fighting each other. The space program expanded rapidly, with colonies being established on Mars and the Moon using technology we no longer needed to hide. 1 year after Revelation Day, Admiral Chen stood at the launch site of humanity's first officially declared interstellar ship. Unlike the hidden prototypes we had tested in secret, this vessel would carry our flag proudly into the stars. "We're ready now," she announced to the gathered crowd. Not because the Empire or the Resistance deemed us worthy, but because we proved ourselves worthy. Dr. Torres, standing beside her, added, "Our strength was never in our weapons or our technology. It was in our ability to face impossible odds and find a way to survive. That's what makes us human." The ship rose silently into the dawn sky, carrying the first official human delegation to the wider galaxy. This time, we weren't pretending to be less than we were. We were going as equals, ready to engage with other civilizations on our own terms. As I record these final words for future generations, I can't help but smile at how far we've come. The Empire never had war with humans before, so we warned them to run. They didn't listen at first, but they learned, just as the Resistance learned that you can't control or manipulate humanity without consequences. We earned our place among the stars not through conquest or submission, but by being exactly who we are: survivors, innovators, and now, finally, true citizens of the galaxy. The stars still shine above us, but now they look different to human eyes. They're not just distant lights or potential threats anymore. They're possibilities waiting to be explored by a species that has finally stepped out of the shadows and into its own light. And somewhere out there, both the Empire and the Resistance are telling stories about the humans who taught them the true meaning of strength. Through the crimson glow of emergency lighting, the council members watched as a massive hologram materialized in the center of the chamber. The image showed hundreds of ships emerging from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. But these weren't human vessels. They belonged to the Precursors, a legendary species thought to have vanished from the galaxy over 50,000 years ago. "We made contact with them 6 months after the Ascertian invasion," announced a calm human voice through the chamber's speakers. The hologram shifted to show a human diplomatic team meeting with tall, ethereal beings composed of swirling light and geometric patterns. "While you were all watching us struggle against the Ascertian Empire," Assuming we'd either submit or be destroyed, we were learning the truth about our galaxy's history. High Counselor Vexthor's tendrils began pulsing rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among his species. The precursors were more than just a lost civilization. They were the architects of the galaxy's most ancient and mysterious structures. The quantum gateways, the stellar nurseries, the dimensional anchors, all were attributed to their unfathomable technology. The precursors didn't vanish, continued the human voice. They were hiding, waiting, watching to see which younger species would prove worthy of their legacy. They tested countless civilizations over millennia, including the Xerxian Empire. The hologram displayed scenes of various alien species discovering precursor artifacts, only to either weaponize them or lock them away in vaults. Senior Analyst Zyle stepped forward, her crystalline form vibrating with curiosity. But why did they choose humans? Your species is so young, so unpredictable, interrupted another human voice, this one deeper and carrying an air of authority. That's exactly why they chose us. When faced with advanced technology, most species either bow to it or seek to control it. Humans, we ask, how can we improve this? The chamber's main lights suddenly restored themselves, revealing a human delegation standing at the entrance. Their uniforms bore patches showing Earth's new symbol, a DNA helix intertwined with precursor geometry. Leading them was an older woman with silver-streaked hair and eyes that seemed to hold both wisdom and mischief. Admiral Chen of the Terra Nova Space Force, she introduced herself. And I'm here to inform you that the galaxy's power structure isn't just about to change. It already has. The precursors have chosen humanity as their successors, and we've chosen to do things differently than our predecessors. The hologram changed one final time, showing a network of new quantum gateways being constructed throughout the galaxy. But unlike the ancient precursor designs, these gateways were clearly built to be understood and maintained by any species with sufficient technological advancement. We're not here to rule, Admiral Chen declared, her voice carrying across the silent chamber. We're here to share, to teach, to learn. The precursors chose us because despite our flaws, despite our mistakes, humans have one quality that sets us apart. We never stop trying to make things better, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. But before she could continue, a council member from the Outer Rim Systems stood up abruptly. And what of the Xerxian Empire? What of their attempts to conquer your world? A subtle smile crossed the Admiral's face as she prepared to respond. The answer she was about to give would reveal just how differently humans handled matters of justice and retribution. Behind her, the hologram began showing new footage, images that would make every council member question everything they thought they knew about power, justice, and the true meaning of civilization. The hologram shifted to show the Xerxian homeworld, but not as anyone expected. Instead of a conquered planet or a world in ruins, it displayed sprawling cities where humans and Xerxians worked side by side. Children from both species played in parks beneath massive anti-gravity fountains, while research facilities hummed with shared innovation. When we gained the upper hand, Admiral Chen explained, pacing slowly before the council, everyone expected us to crush the Xerxian Empire, to make them pay for their attempted invasion. But revenge, she paused, looking each council member in the eye. Revenge is the tool of species still climbing out of their evolutionary cradle. The hologram zoomed in on a particular building, the former Imperial Palace, now transformed into the Galactic Institute of Scientific Cooperation. We gave them a choice instead, not surrender, not submission, but partnership. We showed them how their shield technology could be modified to create sustainable environments on barren worlds. Their weapons, we transformed them into tools for stellar engineering. High Counselor Vexthor's tendrils began glowing with an intense blue light, a sign of profound realization among his kind. You didn't just defeat them, he whispered. You changed them. We changed each other, corrected Admiral Chen. That's what humans do best. We adapt, we learn, we grow, and we help others do the same. But suddenly, the hologram flickered with an urgent message. Every screen in the council chamber lit up with emergency broadcasts from across the galaxy. Something massive was approaching. something that made the precursor sensors spike with readings never seen before. The Admiral's expression turned grave. And now we face our greatest test. The real reason the precursors chose us. The true threat they've been preparing for over 50,000 years. The chamber erupted in chaos as the readings became clear. Massive objects were emerging from the space between galaxies, constructs larger than solar systems, moving with impossible speed and purpose. The precursor ships, now joined by human and Sarxian vessels, began taking defensive positions around key systems. What we did with the Sarxian Empire wasn't just about peace. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the panic. It was preparation. Every species we've helped, every technology we've shared, every bridge we've built, it was all leading to this moment. The hologram showed millions of ships from various species, once bitter enemies, now forming up alongside human fleets. The combined armada was impressive, but against the scale of the approaching threat, it seemed almost insignificant. The precursors didn't choose us because we were the strongest, or the smartest, or the most advanced. The Admiral continued, her voice steady despite the growing tension. They chose us because of what happened in our own history, time and time again. When faced with an overwhelming threat, humans don't just fight as individuals. We unite. We bring people together. We turn enemies into allies. The first of the massive constructs entered the galaxy's outer rim, its size defying comprehension. As it approached, it began broadcasting a message that made the blood of every being in the council chamber run cold. The true purpose of humanity's rise, the real reason for the precursor's test, was about to be revealed, and the next few moments would determine not just the fate of humanity or the council, but the destiny of all life in the galaxy. The message that boomed through every communication system in the galaxy wasn't a declaration of war or a demand for surrender. Instead, it was a single word that made Admiral Chen's eyes widen in recognition. Children. No, she whispered, her composure cracking for the first time. The precursor's records never mentioned this. They never told us. Her voice trailed off as the massive construct began to change shape, unfolding like a blooming flower made of dark matter and stellar fragments. A new hologram appeared in the council chamber, showing similar structures appearing across different galaxies. Andromeda, Triangulum, even the distant Magellanic Clouds. Each one broadcasting the same message. Children. They're not invaders, Senior Analyst Zyle suddenly exclaimed, her crystalline form vibrating with intense frequencies. Look at their energy signatures. They're identical to the precursor artifacts, but on a scale thousands of times larger. The truth hit the council chamber like a supernova. The approaching entities weren't enemies. They were the original precursors, the beings who had guided humanity, who had tested countless species over millennia, were merely caretakers. The real precursors had been traveling between galaxies, seeding life, guiding evolution, and waiting for the right moment to return. But before anyone could process this revelation, the massive construct sent another message that shattered all assumptions. The bridge has fallen. The void breaks through. All children must unite or perish. Admiral Chen's communication device lit up with urgent messages from Earth. The precursor artifacts they'd been studying were activating simultaneously, revealing star charts that pointed to something beyond the galaxy's edge, a tear in the fabric of reality itself. This was never about choosing successors, Admiral Chen announced, her voice heavy with the weight of understanding. The precursors weren't looking for inheritors. They were building an army. Every species they tested, every civilization they guided, was part of a grand preparation. The hologram showed the tear in space growing larger, and through it, something that defied description began to emerge. It wasn't matter or energy, light or darkness. It was nothingness itself, consuming everything in its path. The void, High Counselor Vexthor whispered, his tendrils now completely dark with fear. The space between spaces. The ancient texts spoke of it, but we thought they were myths. But humanity, true to form, was already adapting to this new reality. Admiral Chen activated a secure channel to Earth, and new orders began flowing through the combined fleet. Human scientists, working with their Xerxian counterparts, were already analyzing the precursor data, looking for patterns, seeking solutions. We'd spent our entire history fighting each other, Admiral Chen declared, addressing the council with renewed determination. First tribes, then nations, then worlds. But we also learned to come together, to unite against common threats. That's why the precursors chose us, not to lead, but to unite. The chamber's holographic display suddenly filled with thousands of new signatures. Ships were emerging from quantum gateways throughout the galaxy, not just human and Sarksian vessels, but ships from every spacefaring race. Even species that had never joined the Council were arriving, drawn by humanity's call to arms. But as the combined forces of the galaxy prepared to face this unprecedented threat, a third message from the precursor construct changed everything once again. This revelation would force humanity to make a choice that would either save all existence or doom it to eternal nothingness. The precursor construct's final message was both simple and devastating. The bridge requires sacrifice. One species must enter the void to seal it. Choose. A heavy silence fell over the council chamber. The combined fleets of the galaxy hung in space, weapons primed not against each other, but against the encroaching nothingness that threatened to devour everything. The void continued to grow, its edges now visible from 1,000 worlds as a sort of anti-aurora in the night sky. Admiral Chen stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing billions of lives in the void's path. The choice seemed impossible. Sacrifice one species to save all others, or watch as everything was consumed. But then she noticed something in the human Sarksian research data that made her breath catch. "We don't have to choose," she announced, her voice steady despite the weight of her realization. "Look at the precursor data. The void isn't just nothingness. It's a reflection of everything. It's not destroying reality. It's absorbing it, learning from it, trying to understand it." The holographic display shifted to show new calculations from Earth's quantum computers. The void wasn't a mindless force of destruction. It was curious, and humanity's greatest strength had always been turning the unknown into the understood. "We don't need to sacrifice a species," Admiral Chen declared. "We need to show it who we are. All of us. Together." What happened next would be recorded in the histories of 1,000 worlds. Every ship in the combined fleet, following humanity's lead, began broadcasting their entire cultural history into the void, art, music, literature, scientific achievements, even their failures and darkest moments. The precursor constructs joined in, adding their own vast library of knowledge. The void's expansion slowed, then stopped. The nothingness began to shimmer with colors that had never existed before, patterns that shouldn't be possible in normal space. It was learning, understanding, evolving. But the greatest surprise came when the void began communicating back. Not in words or images, but in pure concepts that resonated with every sentient mind in the galaxy. It had been alone since the beginning of time, watching universes grow and die, never understanding the purpose of existence. Until now. The combined knowledge and experiences of every species, led by humanity's unique ability to adapt and connect, had given the void something it had never had before: context, purpose, understanding. The precursor constructs began to pulse with energy, their ancient forms resonating with the void's new awareness. They hadn't built an army to fight it. They had created a bridge of consciousness, waiting for the species that could teach the void what it meant to exist. As the void began to retreat, it left behind something extraordinary: gaps in space-time that didn't lead to nothingness, but to new realities, new possibilities. Humanity's first gift to the galaxy hadn't been technology or warfare, but something far more powerful: the ability to turn an enemy into an ally, to transform fear into understanding. Admiral Chen watched as the massive precursor constructs began to reconfigure themselves, forming permanent bridges between the galaxy and the now transformed void. "We never needed to sacrifice anything," she said, smiling. "We just needed to be willing to share everything." But as the council chamber erupted in celebration, a small alert appeared on the Admiral's personal device. The data streaming back from the transformed void contained something unexpected, a pattern that suggested this wasn't the first time this had happened. And what that pattern revealed about the true nature of universe would change everything they thought they knew about reality itself. Admiral Chen studied the pattern on her device with growing amazement. The data suggested that the universe itself was cyclical. Civilizations would rise, meet the void, transform it, and create new realities. But this cycle wasn't just repetitive, it was evolutionary. Each iteration added new layers of complexity, new possibilities, new forms of existence. In the council chamber, representatives from every species were already beginning to work together in ways never before imagined. The Exarchans were combining their shield technology with void-touched energy to create sustainable pocket universes. Crystal beings like Zil were learning to communicate directly with the transformed void, discovering entire spectrums of consciousness previously unknown. We were never meant to be guardians or rulers. Admiral Chen addressed the council, her voice carrying the weight of this profound understanding. We were meant to be teachers and students. Every species, every civilization adds their own chapter to the story of existence. The precursor constructs, now permanently anchored throughout the galaxy as bridges to new realities, pulse with gentle light. They had completed their mission, not to find a worthy successor, but to foster cooperation that could transform the very nature of reality itself. 1 month later, on Earth, children in schools were already learning to interact with the transformed void through special interfaces. They showed it their art, their dreams, their hopes, and it responded with visions of possibilities that stretched the imagination. The fear of the unknown that had driven so much of human history was being replaced by an insatiable curiosity about what lay beyond. High Counselor Vexthor, standing beside Admiral Chen as they watched a sunset on Earth, noticed something remarkable. Where his species had once needed to dampen their bioluminescence in bright light, he found himself naturally resonating with both the sunlight and the shifted reality around him. Evolution itself was accelerating, not through conflict, but through harmony. "Your device showed you something else, didn't it?" he asked quietly. "Something about the next cycle?" Admiral Chen nodded, looking up at the evening sky where the transformed void now painted aurora-like patterns of indescribable beauty. "Each cycle brings something new. This time, we didn't just transform the void. We transformed ourselves. The next civilization to rise won't face the same test we did. They'll face something even more challenging, more wonderful." "And humanity's role?" Vexthor asked. "To do what we've always done best," she smiled. "Adapt. Learn. Share. Grow. The story never really ends. It just keeps evolving, like we do." As night fell over Earth, the combined lights of stars, void auroras, and bioluminescent beings created a display that would have been impossible just months ago. Throughout the galaxy, species that had once been enemies were building something entirely new together. The Galactic Council was transforming from a governing body into a center of learning and sharing, where every civilization could contribute to the ever-expanding story of existence. And somewhere, in the vast network of realities, now connected through the transformed void, new forms of life were emerging. New civilizations were taking their first steps toward the stars. They would face their own challenges, make their own choices, add their own chapters to the endless story of existence. As Admiral Chen often said in the years that followed, the greatest power in the universe isn't the ability to destroy or control. It's the ability to transform, to learn, and to grow. Together. And so, the galaxy entered a new age, not of conquest or dominance, but of endless discovery and transformation. The fierce retaliation that had stunned the Galactic Council had become something far more powerful. A revelation that would echo through reality itself, forever changing what was possible when different species chose to face the unknown together.